her face and possibly her neck. She claims that she was trying to set a boundary by not tolerating our daughter's yelling. During the incident, the mother also grabbed our daughter's hair in a somewhat forceful manner, although it didn't appear to cause any significant harm. It's unclear whether her actions were motivated by kindness or frustration. As I attempted to intervene and calm the situation, I was met with verbal aggression. I'm left wondering whether I should involve law enforcement in this matter. My ex-girlfriend just killed herself today. A few hours ago my ex-girlfriend jumped from my building into her death. We broke up a few days ago and I can't help but blame myself for her death. I'm not sure if I have even processed the fact that she is gone. I don't know how to. A senseless tragedy has shaken me to my core. Only hours ago, my former partner took her own life by leaping from our building. The breakup, which had occurred just a few days prior, still weighs heavily on my mind, and I find myself consumed by guilt and self-blame. The news has left me reeling, struggling to grasp the harsh reality of her passing. As I reflect on our tumultuous relationship, I am reminded of her ongoing battle with addiction and the trust issues that had grown between us. In my attempts to support her recovery, I had tried everything I could think of, but it seemed nothing was working. The decision to end our relationship ultimately felt like my only option. The voice message she left me before her untimely demise still echoes in my mind, a haunting reminder of the pain and sorrow she must have felt. This devastating event has left me numb, and the pain of her loss feels almost impossible to bear. The experience feels surreal, like a nightmare I am desperately trying to wake up from. I, 25F, finally called the police on my husband, 26 meters, update he was arrested last night. His bond hearing was at 10 a.m. this morning. It was set to $5,000. He was charged with third-degree domestic violence. I don't understand why he didn't get second degree because are almost two. After years of suffering in silence, I, 25F, have finally found the courage to take a crucial step towards reclaiming my safety and well-being. Last night, I summoned the police to our home, marking a turning point in my marriage to my husband, 26 meters. This morning, he was taken into custody and his bond hearing was scheduled for 10 a.m. The court set his bond at $5,000, a price that he cannot pay from behind bars. He is facing charges of third-degree domestic violence, a classification that I struggle to comprehend, given that our 2-year-old child was present throughout the ordeal. I shared my concerns with one of the officers, and I was relieved to see him take note of our child's involvement. According to what I have learned, the presence of a minor typically elevates the charge to second-degree domestic violence. With my husband still incarcerated, I will take advantage of the opportunity to protect myself and our child further. A no-contact order has been issued, ensuring that he will not be able to contact or harass me. Tomorrow, I will take the next step by filing a restraining order, a measure that will safeguard our family's well-being for years to come. Edit: no information has been AITA for making my SOS meal more kid-friendly. My significant other makes this thick ground turkey, veggie, pasta sauce mixture that he eats straight out of a bowl. Not my thing, but okay. I'm also feeding 4 kids. For them, I took some of his mix and added extra pasta sauce. Am I the asshole for altering my partner's dish for the kids? My partner prepares a hearty ground turkey and vegetable sauce mixture, which he enjoys eating directly from a bowl. I'm fine with it, but not particularly fond myself. With 4 kids in the household, I adapted some of his creation to make it more appealing to them. I added extra pasta sauce and served it over noodles to resemble spaghetti. That's when our situation took a dramatic turn. My partner became extremely upset, labeling my actions as disrespectful and unacceptable. It's worth noting that he's not a skilled chef and isn't known for his culinary expertise. My intention was simply to make the meal more enjoyable for the children. Edit: this isn't about being a good or bad cook, it's about being considerate of others' preferences. The question is whether altering someone's meal to suit the tastes of others is rude or acceptable. Update: if you have similar situations in your household, please share your experiences. How do you balance the needs of different family members, especially when it comes to food preferences? TLDR: AITA for making my partner's meal more kid-friendly by adding pasta sauce and serving it over noodles. Wife and I were having sex earlier and apparently made the dog sick, as title says. Wife and I were getting it on in the bedroom earlier. Our bulldog was napping in the living room. He got up and came to the door of the bedroom, and just stood there and watched for a good 10. A most unfortunate interruption. My spouse and I were in the midst of a romantic encounter earlier, but our furry companion had other plans. Our bulldog had been napping in the adjacent room and decided to emerge, pausing at the bedroom door to observe the scene before him. The sudden interruption was brief, but its impact was long-lasting. Our bulldog suddenly vomited in the doorway and made a swift exit. The unexpected turn of events left us both in stitches, putting an abrupt end to our intimate moment. The memory has left us chuckling, and we can't help but appreciate our dog's unique sense of timing. Sorry, had to share this amusing anecdote with someone, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity. Narcs telling you to forget the past but reminding you of every mistake you've made since you were born, and mom and dad will say to forget the past, which translates to forget what we did. Yet will take every opportunity to remind me of all the mistakes I've made since I was constantly being held back by the weight of past transgressions. Every now and then, a nagging voice in the back of my mind reminds me of all the times I've been reminded of past mistakes. It's as if a never-ending cycle of regret has been etched into my psyche, with every misstep serving as a constant reminder of what I've done wrong. My parents often tell me to move on, to forget the past, but their words ring hollow whenever they proceed to recount every single mistake I've made since childhood. It's almost as if they're trying to weigh me down with the burden of my own guilt, making it impossible for me to truly let go. Their words of advice seem to translate to forget what we've done, rather than let go of your past mistakes. It's a subtle yet significant distinction that leaves me feeling trapped and helpless, stuck in a never-ending cycle of self-doubt and regret. Edit. I was surprised by the number of people who could relate to this sentiment. It seems I'm not alone in feeling the weight of past mistakes. I want to thank you all for sharing your own experiences and for being brave enough to speak out. Your stories have given me. Karen left diet books at a little library by a playground. She caught me chucking them out and had a dummy spit about how it's knowledge, and I shouldn't throw them away. She said she would throw me on the ground and said I looked like I had a mental problem. Kept calm and didn't. A woman who frequented a little library near a playground had a collection of diet books that she insisted on keeping, but ultimately didn't use. While I was disposing of the books, she intervened, expressing her outrage that I was discarding what she considered valuable knowledge. She vociferously claimed that I must be mentally unstable and threatened to physically confront me. Despite her aggressive demeanor, I remained composed and allowed her to restore the books to their rightful place. As soon as she turned her back, I discreetly placed the books in the trash bin where they belonged. In retrospect, I could have attempted to offer her a more constructive suggestion, such as encouraging her to request a refund from the publisher, as it's clear that the books hadn't delivered on their promises. Edit. The story revolves around a heated confrontation between two individuals over the disposal of diet books at a public library. The woman involved in the incident believed that the books contained valuable knowledge and should not be discarded, while the narrator disagrees with her stance. Update. There are no updates available for this story. TLDR. A woman defended her collection of diet books at a public library, accusing the narrator of being mentally unstable for disposing of them. It is not the same as that. I spent at least half an hour troubleshooting a customer's email address over the phone. It was so perplexing. There was no reason that it shouldn't be working. This guy was in his 20s, so I mistakenly gave him the benefit of the doubt and began. A customer's email issue had me stumped for nearly 30 minutes over the phone. The situation was quite baffling, as everything seemed to be in order. Initially, I had attributed the difficulty to a complex technical problem, given the customer's young age. However, a thorough examination revealed the root cause to be a simple yet crucial oversight. It wasn't until I asked him to spell out letter by letter his username that the issue became clear. He had been using @ instead of the correct @ symbol. One wonders how someone in today's digital age could navigate the world without ever having interacted with an email address. TLDR. A customer's email issue was resolved after realizing he was using @ instead of @ in his email address. AITA for wanting to tell my stepdaughter's dad about the cameras my wife planted in his house while he was away. I am 34, got married to my wife Claire 2 years ago. She has a 6-year daughter, my stepdaughter, that she shares custody of with her ex-husband Adam. So Adam has not da. Am I the a-hole for planning to inform my stepdaughter's father about the cameras my wife secretly installed in his home while he was away? I've been married to my wife, Claire, for 2 years now. She has a 6-year-old daughter from a previous relationship, whom she shares custody of with her ex-husband, Adam. Claire has often spoken about how Adam's decision not to date anyone since their separation is beneficial for his daughter, as she believes it protects her from potential mistreatment by a stepmother. Adam recently started dating his current girlfriend about 8 months ago, which prompted Claire to become upset, especially since she felt he was introducing their stepdaughter to his partner too soon. Claire demanded meetings with the girlfriend to evaluate her compatibility as a stepmother. I've grown accustomed to the drama surrounding our families, with Claire's mother often involved. However, a recent conversation with Claire's mother revealed a disturbing secret. Claire had installed cameras in Adam's house while he and his girlfriend were away on a trip. The key to Adam's house was in Claire's possession due to the shared custody arrangement for their stepdaughter's belongings. I found this invasion of privacy deeply concerning. When I confronted Claire about the cameras, she claimed her intentions were to AITA for telling my son he has to go to university, get a job, or get out. My wife and I have 3 children. They are 17, 15, and 10. My oldest has no intention to do anything after high school. At least none he has made clear to us. So I gave him the same ultimatum. Am I the asshole for giving my son an ultimatum to attend university, get a job, or leave home? My wife and I have 3 children, aged 17, 15, and 10. My eldest child has expressed no clear plans for his future after high school. In an effort to prepare him for adulthood, I reminded him of the same choice that my parents presented to me when I was his age: pursue higher education, secure a job, or be independent. I chose the latter and spent 2 years sailing the world, earning a living through hard work and using my sailing experience to gain employment. Although our family is financially well off, I knew that I would be disappointing my parents if I had chosen a life of idleness. Upon returning home, I enrolled in university and eventually joined our family business. My wife believes that I am being unfair to our eldest child by forcing him to fend for himself, despite our financial means. However, we have always made it clear to our children that we will raise responsible, self-sufficient individuals. We agreed upon this approach before our engagement, and it is not a secret that our children will need to be productive members of society. My wife and our eldest child disagree with my expectations, believing that I AITA for calling my white girlfriend a Mayo Mama. Okay, so this sounds ridiculous, but bear with me. I, 28M, am African American. My girlfriend, we'll call her Susie, 26F, is white. And obviously so is her family. They're pretty chill and we've never had a problem and live in a. Was I being insensitive for calling my white girlfriend a mayonnaise mom? Here's the thing. I, 28M, am African American. My girlfriend, whom I'll call Susie, 26F, is white. And we live in a fairly liberal part of the country with her family, who are generally easygoing. The other day, while joking around with each other, I started calling Susie Mayo Mama, and, much to my surprise, she found it hilarious. It's since become a funny term of endearment between us. However, when we had to drop some stuff off at her mom's house recently, the nickname slipped out in front of her parents. They didn't take it well, claiming I'm being racist and have double standards. Susie tried to defend me, saying that she liked the nickname and that her parents should respect her feelings. But they wouldn't back down, and things got awkward. The situation escalated when Susie's dad made a witty remark that caught me off guard. He asked how I'd feel if she called me her chocolate daddy. At first, I was taken aback, but then I started laughing. Susie was trying to hide her face, but she was giggling TIFU by accidentally flirting with my mom. So I wanted to call my girlfriend while driving home from a longer trip. I haven't seen her for a longer time. I thought it would be funny if I pretend to be someone else when calling her. So I dialed her number, put in my headphones, TIFU by making a saucy phone call to the wrong person. I was eager to reconnect with my girlfriend after being apart for a while, so I decided to make a silly call to her while driving home from a recent trip. I thought it would be amusing to pose as someone else, so I dialed her number, put on my headphones, and set off. But things took an unexpected turn. "Good evening, lovely lady. This is the police calling." "Who's there?" My girlfriend replied, sounding puzzled. "You're under arrest, you're just too attractive." I chimed in, trying to maintain the ruse. "What do you want?" came the response. It was then that I began to suspect something was amiss, and I hastily grabbed my phone while driving to realize my shocking mistake. I had accidentally called my mom instead of my girlfriend. A tense silence hung in the air, before we both burst out laughing at the absurdity of it all. Though it was a strange and awkward moment, we managed to find the humor in it. TLDR. TIFU by trying to flirt on the phone with my girlfriend and accidentally calling my mom instead. AITA for refusing to cover my coworker's shifts after she called me lazy for not having kids. I, 28F, work full-time in retail, and as anyone who's worked retail knows, it can be pretty exhausting. I've got a busy life outside of work, trying to balance my hobbies, taking. Am I the asshole for not wanting to constantly cover my coworker's shifts after she called me lazy for not having kids? I'm 28F, working full-time in retail. As someone familiar with the demanding nature of retail work, I understand that it's not for the faint of heart. Outside of work, I juggle various responsibilities like taking care of my apartment, nurturing my hobbies, and maintaining my social life. Not having kids doesn't mean I'm idle. Life is busy, and I prioritize my personal well-being. My coworker, Sarah, 32F, has 2 young children. While I sympathize with the challenges of motherhood, I've noticed she frequently asks for shift coverage due to family emergencies. Over the past year, I've willingly helped her out, but lately, I've realized I'm her go-to person for covering shifts. It feels like she expects me to do it solely because I don't share her parental responsibilities. When Sarah asked me to cover her shift last week due to a school event, I politely declined as I had prior commitments to spend time with my sister. Sarah responded by saying, "Must be nice to have all that free time. You don't have kids, so it's not TIFU by cleaning my shower drain throwaway for obvious reasons. I'm a 20-year-old male college student, and my university got shut down when most universities did due to COVID-19, so I'm now living at home with my parents, 2 sisters and 1 brother. I spent the last TIFU by unclogging my shared shower drain. I'm a 20-year-old male college student, and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, my university closed down, forcing me to return home to live with my parents and siblings. During my time in the dorms, I relied on taking late-night showers to maintain a certain level of, shall we say, personal hygiene. Now that I'm back home, with a shared room and bathroom, I've found myself reverting to this routine. However, living with my family in a relatively small space has presented new challenges. My long hair, which reaches down to my shoulders, often gets tangled with my sister's, clogging the tub drain. This has happened before, and my dad has used a plastic snake to clear the blockage. Recently, the drain became clogged again, prompting me to take matters into my own hands. Given my frequent, shower activities, I was aware of the occasional hair accumulation, but I didn't consider the full extent of the issue. When I inserted the plastic snake and began pulling out the clog, I was met with a gruesome sight. A massive tangle of hair, accompanied by 2 months' worth of, shall we say, refused to give the gift you promised my daughter? Fine, I'll take away the gift I got for you. This year I got a new job that has been paying me very well. Therefore, for this Christmas I decided to splurge on everyone. In particular, I spent a lot of my money on my 9-year. I won't be intimidated into giving up the special gift I got for your daughter. Instead, I'll have to take back the thoughtful present I got for you. This year has been quite fortunate for me, with a new job that's provided me with a generous income. As a result, I decided to go all out for Christmas, spoiling everyone in my family. My 9-year-old daughter particularly deserves this extra attention, as she's been excelling in school, contributing to household chores without being asked, and consistently displaying kindness that's truly remarkable. When my mother-in-law arrived early in the morning, she noticed the unusually large number of gifts under our tree and inquired about the reason. I explained that I bought a variety of presents for everyone, including her. She then inquired about the gifts I got for my daughter, and I mentioned the 3 bigger gifts and 3 smaller ones. Her reaction was quite extreme, claiming that a 9-year-old shouldn't receive that many gifts and threatening to take away the gifts she bought for my daughter, citing that it would serve as a lesson for my daughter to learn that not everything she wants will be hers. I understand her perspective, but I find it unfair, considering she'd previously promised my daughter a special doll for TIFU by catching my cousin eating out his girlfriend by mistake, NSFW. This did not actually happen today. A couple days ago I went on a road trip to meet most of my family since pretty much all of them live about 5 hours away, all in the same city. My first destination was to TIFU by unwittingly walking in on my cousin and his girlfriend in a compromising position, NSFW. This incident actually occurred a couple of days ago, when I embarked on a road trip to visit my extended family, who reside about 5 hours away in the same city. My first stop was to surprise my cousin, whom I hadn't informed about my impending visit. This is where things took a turn for the worse. I sent him a message, inquiring if he was available to engage in a gaming session within 30 minutes. He responded, stating that he had schoolwork to attend to and needed to tidy up his cluttered room. My intention was to make a memorable entrance as soon as he was prepared to join me on Discord, but I was prepared to adapt to his schedule. Upon arriving at his house, I discovered that no one else was present, and the door was unlocked, so I quietly slipped inside. I nearly burst out laughing at my own foolishness. I cautiously approached his door, checking for any indication of whether he was inside. I thought I heard a yawn, which prompted me to open the door without hesitation. However, I was met with an unexpected sight: my cousin, frantically attempting to cover himself and his girlfriend. AITA? Co-worker refused to tell me her name. I got kind of defensive. Started a new job. Was in the break room. Met one of my co-workers for the first time. We talked a little bit, was fine. She asked me my name, so I told her. Then I asked what hers was and she curtly said, "I'm." Was I in the wrong? New co-worker remained elusive about her name. I started my new job and was chatting with one of my co-workers in the break room. We had a casual conversation and I thought everything was fine. She asked me my name and I shared it, then I asked for hers. However, she abruptly replied that she wouldn't be telling me. I found the response a bit unusual and said so. She suggested I could find out her name by looking at the employee board that displayed the names of the employees of the month, as her name was among them. I responded rather bluntly that I didn't feel motivated to go to such lengths to find out her name and that I would simply ask someone else. Reflecting on the situation, I feel a bit awkward. Maybe she was just trying to be playful, but her behavior made me feel a bit unwelcome and excluded. I don't know if this is her usual manner of teasing or if she was being genuinely rude. Was I in the wrong? AITA for telling our son that if he drops out of school he has 6 months to move out? This evening my husband 42M and I 40F got into an argument with our 17-year-old son. He told us at dinner that he needs our signatures to drop out of school. We know that he has been struggle. We're having a family dispute over education. My husband and I recently had a heated discussion with our 17-year-old son regarding his desire to drop out of school. During dinner, he informed us that he needed our signatures to withdraw from school. We've been supporting him throughout his struggles with remote learning, working closely with his school to develop an individualized education plan, IEP, and scheduling therapy sessions 3 times a week. The school has implemented his therapist's recommendations, including reduced assignments and extra time on tests. I've even reduced my work hours to part-time so I can be available to help him. However, my husband asked our son about his plans if he were to drop out, such as a job, living arrangement, and transportation. Our son responded that he would stay with us and wouldn't have to worry about any of that. We told him that if he chose to drop out, he would need to find his own place to live, a job, and transportation within 6 months. We believe that he should be able to support himself as an adult, as we wouldn't be footing the bill for him. My husband, a skilled tradesman, knows people who are looking for apprentices in HVAC and electrical work. But our son has expressed AITA for calling out my husband's coworker at his corporate party for flirting with him right in front of me. Last weekend, my husband's company held a big corporate party. This was the first time I was meeting his colleagues, so I wanted to make a good impression. We sat D. Was I the asshole for confronting my husband's coworker at the company party for flirting with him in front of me? Last weekend, my husband's company organized a large corporate event, where I got to meet his colleagues for the first time. I wanted to make a good impression, so I sat down at a table with his team. Initially, everyone seemed friendly, but as the night went on, I noticed a female colleague on our table constantly looking at my husband. She would catch his eye, hold it a bit too long, and even wink at him. I tried to dismiss it as a coincidence, but she continued to glance at him and smile. The situation escalated as some of his coworkers started teasing the two of them, making light-hearted remarks like, "You two are inseparable," and "Don't you two miss sitting next to each other every day?" My husband seemed to play it cool, but didn't exactly shut down the conversation either. I tried to ignore it, but each time she looked at him, I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I even asked my husband quietly if there was something he needed to tell me, but he dismissed it as just office banter, and not a big deal. The tension I ate up for emasculating my husband and refusing to make my parents apologize for it. Me, 28F, and my husband, 29M, have been married for 5 years. My husband was a nurse until he told me he wanted to become a doctor. I was fully supportive and he is now in his first year of Medi. Feeling emotionally suffocated and financially burdened, was I wrong to emasculate my husband? My partner, 29M, and I have been married for 5 years, during which time he transitioned from a nursing career to pursuing a medical degree. I was supportive of his decision, and now, in our 6th year of marriage, he is in his first year of medical school. I've been supporting our household financially, as he cannot work while in school, and was initially committed to helping him pay off his nursing school debt. However, the recent increase in our rent by $500 at the end of our lease, April, pushed us beyond our financial comfort zone, prompting me to bring up the idea of purchasing a home. This had been a topic of discussion for years, but my husband insisted that we wait until he had paid off his nursing school debt. I countered that he was now in a 6-year program, incurring hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and that some medical professionals take 20+ years to pay off their loans. I shared with him our savings for a home deposit and how we could afford a small, modest property within our budget. Yet, he refused to consider buying a home, insisting TIFU by having sex with my GF after swimming. Excuse me for my English, it's not my first language. Well, this happened a few minutes ago and I'm still naked while writing this. I'm on holiday with my girlfriend and today is our last day. We went swimming at the beach and were D. I'm sorry if my language isn't perfect. This happened just a little while ago, and I'm still in a state of undress as I write this. My girlfriend and I are on a vacation together, and today marks the final day of our trip. We started the day by taking a plunge into the ocean from a high platform. With each jump, a significant amount of water flowed into my nose, but I was fine afterwards. After lunch, we embarked on a 2-hour drive to our hotel. Along the way, we discussed how we wanted to make the most of our final evening together. As we checked into a lavish room with a spacious shower, our plans for a romantic evening began to unfold. We took turns showering, and eventually, we found ourselves in an intimate position. However, I wasn't expecting this to occur. Suddenly, a massive amount of water, combined with mucus from my congested nose, burst forth and landed squarely on my girlfriend's face. TLDR. I had sex with my girlfriend after swimming, and a huge amount of water mixed with mucus came out of my nose and landed on her face. AITA for not honoring my son's punishment? Update 2. I told my ex to cancel her vacation as my son will not be going because it affects my custody time. Yes, I told her it was okay, but after her husband's stunt of saying he couldn't do the sleepover, which was on my day anyways. Am I the asshole for not upholding my son's punishment during my time with him? Update 2. I informed my ex that her upcoming vacation plans would be adjusted since our custody agreement would be affected. I made it clear that it was okay with me, but after her husband's decision to cancel the sleepover my son was invited to, I had to take a firmer stance. Let her and her husband deal with the consequences of their actions. Update 1. This is quite amusing. My son's friend's mom extended an invitation for a sleepover, which unfortunately coincides with my scheduled time with him. I intended to ask my son if he'd like to go, but his stepfather said he couldn't attend since he's grounded. I could have reacted in many ways. My ex-husband and I are divorced, and our relationship is mostly cordial but distant. We have a 50-50 custody arrangement. She recently remarried, and her new husband has been part of her life for some time. Our son is 11 years old now. He got into an argument with his stepfather and received a week-long grounding. The majority of that time falls within my scheduled time with him, and my ex asked me to ensure the AITA? For saying, "in your dreams," when my husband told me to apologize to his sister and her husband after they made my son wet himself. Hello. I apologize for any mistakes. I recently lost a friend and my emotions are all over the place. My son has ADHD. He's hyperactive and, am I the asshole? For saying, "in your dreams," when my husband demanded I apologize to his sister and her husband for standing up to them after they mistreated my child? I'm reaching out for advice. My friend's passing has left me reeling, and I'm still trying to come to terms with it. I've asked my husband if he could watch our 4-year-old son for a bit so I could attend the funeral, and he agreed. However, he took him to his sister and brother-in-law's house without discussing it with me first. Days ago, I received a distressing text from my sister-in-law, informing me that my son had wet himself at their house. I was taken aback and immediately called my husband to find out what had happened. He didn't answer my call or respond to my texts. When I arrived at their house, I found my son crying and in a state of distress. He had been denied access to the bathroom after telling his uncle he needed to go, resulting in an accident. I was livid and questioned their parenting skills, which they defended by saying they were simply trying